Hi, everyone. My name is Mark. I'm from Techstack. Thanks very much for taking in this webcast. We're here to talk a little bit today about an alternative to Salesforce. So if you're a software company or a technology company running in a B2B motion, many organizations are running Salesforce. And what we wanted to do in this webinar is talk a little bit about some of the alternatives that exist to the Salesforce CRM platform. In the course of the webinar, I'm going to actually talk a little bit about Techstack and specifically go into a demonstration and to show kind of a few really key points around the functionality. But before I do that, I just want to put into context why we're having this conversation. So I think in the last 9 months, this webinar is just at the first quarter end of 2023, but I would say in the last 9 months, there's been a considerable pressure on B2B software companies to effectively extend the runway and the cash runway. And where, let's say 5 years ago, the valuation was very much on growth, year-over-year growth, we're now seeing different metrics come into play, and there's becoming a bigger focus on something called unit economics. And most software organizations need to figure out how to get to break even in a hurry. Now, getting to break even in a hurry is a combination of two things. Well, number one, it's the first factor, frankly, is being able to add ARR revenue cost effectively. So we need to get that sales magic number up significantly. A lot of organizations it's costing far more than $1 to get $1 in ARR, and that is just a recipe for failure. If you don't have the ARR levels high enough, you're not bringing enough cash into the business to support. The other area that we're really getting into is a bigger conversation around net retention and gross retention, and really taking care of the customers and holding on to them. So I want to talk in this webinar how you can do that and not only improve the operations of the business, but also reduce the costs associated to the technology stack, and costs that frankly should be applied elsewhere in the business. And when we're talking about B2B SaaS or B2B software or B2B technology companies, the customer journey is pretty well defined. Now we're showing this linearly. Naturally, it's a bit of more of a circle, but it's starting at the very early end. So buyers do education and research, they evaluate, they select, they implement, they use, and they expand, right? So that's the buyer's journey. And that's very much aligned to your customer journey and ultimately how you organize your organization, right? So you have a marketing team, a BDR team, a sales team, and accounting team, a services team to implement and onboard, a support team, and then a customer success team. Now, inevitably, what happens is each one of these departments goes out and finds the best solution for their specific department. But next thing you know, you have a bunch of stuff running within the organization that isn't talking to one another, and there's really no concept of having one view of the customer. And so you start putting in things like Marketo or Pardot or Outreach on top of Salesforce, maybe put in SaaS Optics or what is now called Maxio, maybe MavenLink or Kimball or some of these products, Zendesk, TurnZero, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these tools cost a fortune, and they don't necessarily integrate well, and inevitably you have users swivel chairing or basically getting license on license on license in order to operate. Now, what Techstock wanted to do is build all of this into one platform, and that's essentially what we've done. And we are former software, or not, we still do it. We are software executives that went out and found a business to fix this problem. We've been operating software companies for 25 years, growing them from pre-revenue to something more significant. And we've always been challenged with the technology stack that we've had to run, spending millions of dollars on tools that aren't well integrated together. And we wanted to fix that, and we wanted to do it on a Microsoft platform for a lot of reasons, which we'll get into. But if you look at the technologies that we've built on, it's all top right stuff, right? So if you look at Power Apps as a comparison to Force.com, it's top right up there with Salesforce. If you're looking at reporting, Power BI, again, top right up there with Tableau. And naturally, big proponent of the teams and for collaboration, for document management, and we've incorporated Teams very heavily within the application. And so what you get out of that is basically really, really strong productivity using and integrated to tools that your users are using every day: Word, Excel, Outlook, SharePoint, Teams, OneNote. Now, if you're a Gmail shop, there's no conversation here. But if we're talking to you, it's likely because you're using Office 365 or what's called Microsoft 365 now, and using Salesforce. So we think that there might be another option out there. Okay. Now the results are pretty tremendous. You can go to the website techstack.com/ROI. There's a little calculator on there. It allows you to choose all the technology stack components, number of users, what your growth will be over 3 years. And we've plugged in the pricing models of all the tools I just mentioned against Techstack, and the cost savings are significant. So by reducing your technology stack spend, you should be translating that into the bottom line, or reinvesting that spend into critical areas of your business. If it's product, if it's customer success, if it's sales, you're probably making really difficult decisions today, and you don't necessarily have to. So not only would you be entertaining a cost savings in tools each year, I would argue that there's a huge opportunity to improve operations simultaneously. So we're going to dive right into the product right now. I'm going to give you a quick view of what Customer 360 should look like, how the integration to Microsoft 365 works, the Power BI reporting, and talk a little bit and come back and talk a little bit about change management and subscription deferral. Now, there's no way I can do a full demo, so I'm just going to splash some of the concepts up and be delighted to spend more time with you to show you how the transactions get generated in the system and go into much further depth in all the areas. So with that, I'm going to actually just flip over to a browser here. This is Techstack. It's a Microsoft app. You can see we've got the Microsoft waffle, which features across all the Microsoft components that you'll be familiar with as a user. This is all the stuff I have access to. And this is my avatar, right? So you're familiar with the avatar in the top right. So what does this really mean? Well, it's pretty significant. Onboarding, offboarding, everything's done through Azure Directory. Active Directory. So you onboard employee, you assign them security, you can assign them access to Techstack when they're if they're no longer with the organization. Again, same thing. It's one place to shut down access versus trying to figure out, okay, who has what access to which tool. Easy. The other thing that's really critical, I think, is that Microsoft's kind of the opposite SaaS in that we actually have to deploy into your tenant. So you control data. All the information security is controlled by you. You invite us into your tenant to deploy the app. This is the opposite, where with most software vendors, you need permission to come into their environment, and then you have your data all over the place. You don't know necessarily where the data is. Here, Microsoft allows you to define geo and also invite vendor into your environment. A completely different security model. Okay, all that said. As a Power App, navigation's pretty well defined. There's a lot of consistency. Now, the really cool thing with Techstack is the common data model that we use is identical to Salesforce. The table names are identical. Salesforce's common data model is over 20 years old now. It was borrowed off of Siebel. We borrowed it off of Salesforce. Makes data migration so much easier. So the concepts are very similar: account, contact, opportunity, activity, all that kind of stuff. Very, very similar. What I'm going to do is actually just search for an account. There's a bunch of ways to find information in the system. This global search is extremely handy because it allows you to search right across entities. I'm going to open up an account record. This is the Red Bull account. And you can see that Red Bull is a customer, and they're at expand. So we use these account stages, and I'll show you in a second how a prospect might look a little bit different. But we use these account stages to drive a lot of kind of transactional kind of behavior. So this is all from Forrester. So Forrester acquired SiriusDecisions about 5-6 years ago. They changed that MQL SQL model. They got rid of that kind of recommendation of using the lead record to opportunity, and they went full in on account-based selling, basically. So B2B demand waterfall is a modern version of MQL SQL. The language that B2B demand waterfall uses is all incorporated into here. And so what we do is with an account-centric strategy, because B2B sales, you're always selling to an account and there's multiple buyers influencing a decision. Everything we do is at an account-centric kind of approach. And we track the journey of that account automatically. So for example, we use engagement scoring from marketing automation to push along whether or not an account or contacts within the account have engaged. When they reach a certain number of points or score, we move to prioritize. When a seller opens an opportunity, we move it to pipeline. When the opportunity is one, we move it to implement. And then after the implementation goes live, we move it to expand. So normally in a CRM system, you're fuddling with all this stuff manually, and your data gets old in a hurry. You can't necessarily pull a customer record. What we've done is automated everything. We track onboarding date, customer since dates, lifetime value of the customer, all that kind of stuff is automatically tracked. We're also tracking subscriptions. I won't have time in our demo today to show you how subscriptions are generated, but we have a full CPQ capability based into opportunities. When an opportunity closes with a subscription-based product, we generate a new subscription. If they're adding on top of an existing subscription, we co-term. And then you can see the history of the subscription buried underneath this record right here in the order line. So we have all that capability. We generate invoices. So anything that flows out of an order can generate an invoice, and we generate invoices which can be sent to accounting, and we feature integrations to certain accounting products. We track projects. So when an opportunity closes with a services product, we automatically generate the project, hand that over to the services team. We have a full PSA capability like Maven, Link, and Kimball built in the product. You know, we have customer health, so NPS, so Net Promoter Score, kind of feedback. Incorporate that in. That becomes a signal for customer health. It's great in the renewal playbooks, right? We automatically generate renewal opportunities based on subscription date ending, and you can, kick off an NPS to find out if the customer's on fire. We have cases. Right, so what tickets are coming into the customer? We automatically feature cases in the system, so everybody in the organization can see what's going on with the customer. Naturally, the boring stuff, like obviously contact records, right? But if you look at, let's say, a Max Verstappen, bit of an F1 kind of nut here, but if you look at the contact record for Max Verstappen, there's a wealth of information here, right? So we have basically these concepts of the timeline. So you have all of the information that's coming from Max. We have all the marketing. So I should go back to that. So the timeline is basically any email communication that has come back and forth with Max from anybody in your organization. And that rolls up to the account Red Bull. So if Max, Checo, Christian, those three contacts, all the email communications across all of your team members will be in the timeline, which is very, very handy to try to get a read on what's going on within the organization. We also have featured tons of marketing information for Max. So what forms he's filled out on the website, what pages he's visited, what emails marketing has sent, which I won't have any in this demo environment, which events Max has attended. We have a full outbound sequence engine, so you can see which sequences, if any, in this case. There haven't been any, it looks like, for Max, so you can feature all of that kind of stuff as well. All right, so that's a quick look at the customer. So you can see this is true customer 360, so it's not theoretical, it's everything that's going on with that customer automatically updated and available in one place. So as a CS who's trying to go in there and sell more stuff or trying to support that customer and get that renewal, normally you're like all over the place looking for information to figure out what's going on. Well, here we can automate all of it, and you can generate playbooks for the 80-20 rule and classify your top tier accounts and run playbooks for everybody else. So all that capability is built right in to the system. Now this is for a customer. The same is true of prospects. So you can see here, Ross Trainway is a prospect pipeline. They're a pipeline because there's an open opportunity, but the opportunity hasn't closed yet. So here I have an opportunity. Our opportunity capability is very, very strong. We track key velocity metrics, like how many days was an opportunity in the first stage. I just opened it, so it's okay. How many times has anybody, the key contact from the opportunity, emailed in the last month? These two metrics are critical for identifying if a deal should be forecasted as best case or committed. Normally, seller managers are making best guesses as to whether or not deals should get forecasted. These velocity metrics tell you everything as a sales manager, and provide the type of coaching that sales managers, the information that sales managers need for coaching. Okay, and the fact that we track all the moves here across the stages as stage durations makes it quite easy. You could have products. We have a full CPQ built into the product. So this is essentially SteelBrick or Salesforce CPQ, but it doesn't cost $100,000 to implement. And it's, in my opinion, far superior for a bunch of reasons. So if I added a product in here, I'm going to do a 2-year cyber risk product. I'm going to say I'm going to have 1,000 of these, right? So this is $200 for the 2-year subscription. So it's not going to be huge ACV on this one, but we'll see what it calculates as in a quick sec. So here we have it's $100,000 ARR, there's 1,000 at $833 each month. So it's basically 200 over 24 months. The total amount is 200K, but the ARR is 100K. So, one of the things that always drove me nuts in CRM systems is somehow all these money fields are going into estimated amount, which is or estimated revenue, which is crazy, right? As SaaS companies or companies that are driving on recurring revenue, we need to separate the ARR that is being booked from the total value of the deal. And the total value of the deal is, in this case, the 2 years of ARR, but the ARR is only 100K. But if I go in and add, let's say, a services product to that, to this opportunity, and let's say I'm going to add the quick launch, and I'm going to drive one of those. It's 20K. And what we're going to see is this this transaction goes from 20K, it's going to move to 220K. So I just got to save the record. Normally this just happens, but in a demo we want it to be a little bit faster. So here we have the one time of 20. The ARR is 100, but because it's 2 years, it's 200 plus 20. We've calculated the total amount on the deal. Perfect for forecasting, right? So we've built all that kind of stuff in. Now, so here's my op. You'll recall that Ross Trainway is a prospect and they're at pipeline stage. When I win this op, I'm going to close it. You can attach a contract. Oh, actually, one thing I should have showed you is that we can generate proposals right out of this as well. So we have a proposal generator. So again, like a CPQ kind of thing. You can generate a narrative-based proposal or an order form, and the user can choose which one they want to do. We integrate the e-signature products, all that kind of stuff. You can output Word, PDF, fully flexible. You can email it right from there. Really capable CPQ product there. Now, if I close this as one, I can attach the signed contract here. I click the win button, and what it's going to do is close the op. It's going to make it inactive. Seller got to ring the bell. But now the deal's got to go to deal desk, right? So make sure everything looks good. I'll just fast forward, but deal desk will get an email or a Teams notification and basically review the deal and generate the order. So here I'm just going to generate the order. When we generate the order, a few things happen. We're, in this case, setting up a new subscription. We're generating invoices. And also in this case, we're creating a new project because we have that implementation. So you'll see an order gets created. Now, when I go back to Ross Trainway, the account, you'll see that they're now a customer and that they're an implement. You'll see that the opportunity has been closed as one. All right, closed one. We've generated a subscription for the product. You can see it's a 2 years, so it's going to end in 2 years. You can see that we generated an invoice. In this case, it's 100K plus 20K. So the upfront ARR, and then the 20K. So you'll see if I open this up, 2 invoice lines for that customer automatically generated. Oh, should have shut that. And the project gets created. And so we have a new project that is generated, and I'll show you that another time, but a full onboarding, professional services capability to track time, profitability on projects, issues on projects, team scheduling, all that kind of stuff, invoicing, services invoicing, a full capability there as well. Very rich. So that's quickly transactionally how everything works. Now you'll note I want to talk a little bit about the Microsoft 365 integration. So here we have some note capabilities. So on the account and on projects and opportunities, all that kind of stuff, you've got these take notes and chat. So we've got a full capability here. Actually, I should just refresh this because now that I've actually closed the opportunity, we'll have a new section on here as well called projects. But this becomes the OneNote that lives with the account forever. Okay, and you can create the OneNote at the right stage of maturity on the account. So we would recommend qualify or something like that. And then everybody in the organization has one place to take really detailed notes. And the beauty with OneNote is it's very portable. It's available on your phone. You have a desktop app. You can access it through Teams, access it from the web. It's everywhere. Every user has access to it, and you can get at it from the same place, which is right on the ribbon here for the account. The other thing we do is have a really, really strong Teams integration. So we use Teams for notification. So when you're assigned a lead or an inquiry from the web, if you're a services person, when you're assigned a new task, you can have collaborative conversations. But Teams is way beyond Slack in that it's also a document management tool. So here I have, for example, a document attached to the Ross Trainway account. And if, let's say, I wanted to add, I don't know, add this file. I have no idea what this is, probably some cookie thing. I'm going to add this file to the account. Now, when I go back on the account, and when I go to documents, not only is that document on Teams, but it's on the CRM account too. So completely synchronized account document management. Very, very strong integration to all the productivity tools. These are the kinds of things that sellers typically hate. Okay, so that is in a nutshell the Techstack, a flyover of Techstack. I didn't go into any depth around marketing automation, sequencing, professional services automation, invoicing, case management. It's very, very deep, all the functionality. But I just wanted to give you a high level of the UX, the integration to Microsoft, and all that kind of stuff. Now, the other element that most software companies are also lacking in is reporting. And reporting is hard for a couple of reasons. One, you're probably not collecting data that you trust. There's too much manual manipulation. And two, you have to like build the reports. You have to build the data sets and then the visualizations. Well, because we only service one industry, we know all the metrics that we need to be tracking. We know how to structure the data. We know how to collect it. We've actually built all the Power BI for you. So everything's done in Power BI. Here's a marketing dashboard. So lots of great information that marketing needs. So the number of prioritized accounts, which was in the old language MQLs, but account aligned. Marketing sourced ops, funnel of percentage of funnel that's marketing based, not very good here, 1% in my demo environment. How many inquiries we've had in the last 30 days, all that kind of stuff. And more importantly, we've got the right attribution. So we can actually attribute opportunity creation right to the campaign. And so here you can see that outbound or organic inbound is represented $3 million worth of opportunities that are created. So this is the type of attribution that most organizations really struggle with. We have first, last touch attribution and middle touch attribution, which I don't recommend analyzing, but we definitely have the big moments, first and last touch attribution that are tracked at an account and from the opportunity. Also have killer sales dashboards, so funnel analysis, funnel creation. You can look at it by type. We automatically create opportunity types as a new customer or existing customer versus a renewal. What your win-loss analysis. Again, you can win-loss analysis by type, by product family, by rep, by country, by industry. Deal analysis. What's the average sales cycle length, average deal size, because of your velocity metrics. You do that analysis by industry. Tons and tons and tons of great sales reports, and incredible, essentially SaaS optics built in. Incredible subscription analysis. So if ARR is important to your organization, the percent growth and your growth of your ARR run, what the ARR looks like. You can look at it by product. You can look at it by type. So this is actually representing the ARR that comes from renewals versus new customers versus existing customers. So you can see in this situation back in August that most of our ARR was from new logo, right? And so you can see that changing over time as renewals start kicking in and stuff like that. You can also analyze your subscription analysis in terms of what renewals are upcoming, and find out if those renewals are with a healthy customer or a not so healthy customer. And you can analyze renewals based on the implementation stage. So if their renewals are coming up but they're not live yet, you don't want to see implement. Basically, what you want to see here is basically expand or advocate. So this is at risk, right? So you have $14 million of ARR with customers that aren't live yet. That's a problem, right? You want to kind of analyze that. So we have all that kind of stuff. We have all the ARR retention, so your net retention, gross retention kind of stuff, and your true customer count, right? So how many times have you gone in? How many customers do we have? Well, CRM might be the last place you look. You're probably looking in accounting for that information. But we have it because we drive all the attribute changes transactionally in the system. So that is Techstack. That's a quick overview. I'm going to go back to my deck here really fast and finish up. Talk a little bit about change management. Obviously, every organization we talk to has a CRM. CRM is 100% adopted in the B2B technology space. There is no greenfield for Techstack. We're replacing CRM systems with every customer that we work with. Most of them are the market leaders: Salesforce, HubSpot, Dynamics 365, Zoho. Every customer that we work with has a CRM. So how you deal with the change has to be a combination of the data and change management, and understand there's a natural skepticism. How the heck do I uncouple my technology stack from the foundation, which is CRM? So totally get it. But the question I would have is really, what are you giving up? You're probably dealing with messy data, probably dealing with age-old customization that's no longer relevant. There's likely a lack of training because you probably trained when you went live, and the level of training that you provide reps, which typically is a role that has some amount of turnover, is probably negligible. Your CRM is likely governance based, not productivity based. You probably have dozens and dozens and dozens of spreadsheets along the side, lots of manual processes, and probably reporting that you don't trust. So my question is always, what do you think you're really giving up? Especially if you can trade in, like, quite literally $1 million worth of spend with $100,000 or $150,000 worth of spend. What would you do with that extra $800,000 in the organization? That becomes part of that conversation. And what we try to do is provide all the best practices across all the departments, all the user stories fully documented. You go to support.techstack.com. We completely ungate all of our support documentation, so you can always check it out. All the reporting pre-built, fully risk mitigated implementation. Everything we do is fixed price. Everything is prescriptive, and a standardized data migration for Salesforce. Typical rollout looks like this. These are the steps. Whether or not it's 4 weeks or 12 weeks or 24 weeks is dependent on scope and the size of the organization. But we have a very prescriptive approach to this, very much a hybrid model of waterfall structure with iterative sprints at key stages like configuration. And obviously, there's a conversation around outlay, right? So yeah, great, I could save a bunch of money, but I got to pay you guys. We fully understand. So we have basically a model which allows you to align Techstack subscription start and payment to the renewal of Salesforce. So if your renewal for Salesforce is coming up in January, right now we're in March. If you do a May project start, go live in October, we would either start the subscription on the go live or when your next renewal is coming up for Salesforce. The only thing we ask for in advance is a commitment represented by the kickoff milestone, the billing milestone for the services kickoff, pricing of which is right on our website. And we're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most of our implementations are like 10 to 20K. So that's the webinar content. I was trying to get it within a half an hour, not the hour. Hopefully this is of value. There's lots of great stuff that you guys can check out. We have a comparison guide on our website, an ROI calculator, maturity model, and our pricing is fully transparent and on our website. You can email me anytime, mark@techstack.com. And with that, I want to thank you very much for your time and hope you have a great day.